Hello. Move that. How are you? Here we are, day 3. So pre-training for Queen School, pre-training number 3 of 8 before Queen School starts on January 14th. So this is Love Bite number 3. Hi, Nancy. So my background's a little bit different today. So for the next 4 days, you'll be with me in Melbourne City. We're having a staycation because COVID meant we couldn't go anywhere this year. We're spending 5 days in the city. So at a bit of a swanky hotel. Hi, Ange. How are you? So here I am coming to you in the city. So in lieu of that, I have my most favourite red. Hello, Georgia. Hello, Megan. You made it on time today. Well done. You must need to hear what's in today's pre-training. All right, so I'm going to do my best not to spill my red wine at the same time. Have you heard the teenage word bougie? Thanks, Brooke. It is. Hi. So my son is all about the bougie life. So I think we would have called it, I don't know, Gucci or something like that. So we're having a bougie sit down today. So I'm having a red wine. Let's talk today. So today, what I want to cover with you is passion is a choice, not an accident. Polarity, desire, attraction, interest, fascination, curiosity, novelty, they're all choices. Thanks, Nicole. I hope you're having a wine too. They're all choices. And the reason that I really, this is where I get a bit like this, is because what I'm not interested in is men or women that wait for the outside world or for someone outside of them to give them what they themselves have the power to access. I find that soul destroying. I don't know if you found yourself saying to your kids, I certainly do to mine, which is, well, I'm not going to give her the thing because she didn't give me the thing first. Whatever your setup is. And I find myself saying, no, the way that you behave and the way that you are impeccable with your choices, your decisions, the way you show up for yourself, for the world, for people around you, the way that you present the world is not dependent on what someone else did, didn't do, is going to do, isn't going to do, or what the world did first. It's dependent on you. You get to choose your impeccability. You get to choose how you show up, regardless of anyone else. Actually, I have some more movie medicine for you. My husband and I have just finished watching a series that we loved. It was on Apple TV, but I think you can see it elsewhere. It was Lasso. Oh my goodness, what's his first name? Why have I gone mental blank? It's about a sports coach. Someone Lasso, Lasso. Have a look on Apple TV. Fantastic. It's only a single series. But if you want to learn what it's like to just create your own reality, that series shows you how he does that. I just think it's magic. I think it's fantastic. We can all take a leaf out of those books. And it's filled with all sorts of dad jokes. Nicole, me, guilty. Not in areas of love and relationship, but career. Yeah, right? Because we've all got different areas of mastery. And where you perceive something is missing, we're always going to ask you to look for where does it exist, because nothing is missing. You're whole and complete as you are. But if you're wanting to empower something to experience where you're feeling a heart yearning or a lack or a loss, then it's going to look at how do I transfer that skill set that I'm already masterful at into this area and bring that area of life up into empowerment. So it's just to see nothing's missing. This is why it's not rocket science. And my new layer in a form I didn't realise until B was on holiday last week, and I realised how much I didn't do the things for me because he just did them for me, and I was like, what? I love that realisation. That's huge. That's huge. Brene Brown was talking about that series on one of her podcasts. Oh, was she? It's really good. I really enjoyed it. Ted Lasso. Thank you, Nancy. It's exactly what it is. So go and check that one out if you're really interested in just having a punchline home on what that actually means. So let's dial it back a little bit and let's talk about what I mean by passion is a choice, not an accident. What I mean by that is that we talked about it in the last 2 lessons, your level of energy flow is equivalent to his level of presence and therefore trustability. I bet you walk around and even as you interact with people at work, down the street, someone you bump into at a party, there's part of you that's gone completely unconscious that has already sent out those neuro tentacles and checked out how trustworthy or trustable this human is. And there's those people that you kind of send that out and you go, well, that person I'm not really feeling safe with, so I'll zip a bit of that up and I know I have to keep a lot of this here. It's not safe out there, so don't share it. Or you meet someone who in 5 minutes time you've told them your life story and you're a blubbering mess because there's part of you that's gone in going, oh, presence, safety, oh, trust. And you relax and you open, right? That's a magnificent masculine force in front of you. Magnificent. And so trustable. So depending on, remember the king archetype word is law, right? Trustable, dependable, shows up. Brooke, oh my God, yes, yeah. How cool is it when you see it in action? I just love when we can pull it down and see it in our lives. So depending on how much you are comfortable with opening and being energy will depend on the type of lover you attract. So if you're very good at self-serving and self-sufficiency and soothing and calming down emotions, and you feel safest when you do that for yourself rather than someone doing that for you or witnessing it, or it's too much of a burden for them, or they can't handle it, or it makes them worse. So you've learned how to subjugate your own feeling state in order to be with them. Then what you're finding there is that their level of trustable, dependable kingship and presence is equal to how much energy you let out. So when I say under-surrendered women, feminine beings, what I mean is under energy outing. Under-surrendered. Surrender, I think, let's just dip into that for just a second. Surrender is an interesting word because I think it's become very much part of pop culture, but I don't think we really understand what it means. Because I think if you really understood what surrender was, you wouldn't banter it about as a loose word. I think instead it would be met with a huge amount of reverence if you really knew, as I know, what it requires of someone to surrender, to submit, to roll over and show you their soft belly, to crack open and not know or have any control over what happens next, to kind of leave it all on the dance floor, right? Leave nothing undone. Play it all out. That level of surrender, I think, is a spiritual practice because there's a level of ecstasy that comes with that, right? Ecstasy being the mix, almost the precise, makes me salivate, pinpoint mix of pleasure and pain. It's both. That's ecstasy. You know, when pleasure's so much, it's almost painful and unbearable. And when pain's so much, there's part of a cracking and a release that becomes pleasure. It sounds amazing and terrifying. It is both. There's duality and polarity. They're always both. So when I say under-surrendered, I say that with a level of knowing that the degree to which you can surrender, and not surrender and submit to someone else. We are never practicing for someone or something outside of us, ever. We are practicing for self-mastery. We are practicing to be able to surrender to the currents that move through our body, to the feeling states, the inspiration, the downloads, the awakenings, the openings, the sheddings, so that we can fully bathe in the fullness of what is available to us in those moments, and not just go, oh, I'll take 10% when you have 100 available to you. What a waste. That's mediocrity. Don't know about you, but I'm not here for that anymore. I think I lived mediocrity for long enough, which was a self-construction. So, under-surrendered, meaning simply the degree of mastery to which you have with your feminine energy flow and opening, and the clarity of that signal outside of you. So I could stand in the corner of the room, not say a word, and I guarantee you in 5 seconds my husband will be looking at me, and probably within 2 seconds my daughter, my eldest daughter, and within 10 seconds I'm going to say my son. I have to say a word. They know 100% what's happening, and they know what to do. That's training, and that's transmission. So that's the level of mastery that I would love to get to. This is your communication beacon when you're in your feminine, not this, not this. So under-surrendered women attract unpresent men, because if I'm only partially giving my truth, if I'm only allowing a blip, a 10% out, then I attract a 10% man. And if I only allow a 10% truth out of my body, then I attract 10% worth of presence that matches that 10% worth of blip. Even though I have 90% of happening inside my body, and he has the capacity, the other 90%, to meet that, maybe. So I'm going to leave feeling pretty pissed off, and like he can't meet me and doesn't know how. And I was about to use a really horrendous swear word then. You know I love a creative swear word. I make myself laugh sometimes. All right, choose a different word, Julie. Like he's an absolute loser. When in truth, he's probably not. He just hasn't been trained well. Or her. Or you. So, under-surrendered women attract unpresent men. The degree to which you are in your feminine essence and flowing with energy is the degree to which there's presence, and therefore the degree to which you feel fulfilled, met, fully seen. Life is perfect. Versus 10% blip. Does that kind of make sense? Cindy, totally agree. Surrender is one of the hardest things to do. And don't we know that as birth workers? So I think you learn it a lot in birth, don't you? Watching women surrender to themselves, to life. An extraordinary gift to witness that. So, the more that you don't trust the masculine force in front of you, and the more you zip it up and don't surrender to yourself, not to them, the more he becomes untrustable, because you're not training him for trust. And you're not training him for presence. Which is why we have a lesson. Is it tomorrow? Maybe the day after. For trainable. So, when you understand that, you start to realize, what is it you said or may have been someone else? Speak to the king in him and the king responds. Yeah, we talked about that in Queen's School. Speak to the boy in him and a little boy comes out and replies. Yeah. So who you speak to is, or who you speak to as in with your body and your voice and all the things, who you're seeking to evoke is who you get. You're really that powerful. That's going to suck sometimes though, isn't it? Because we all love a hack. and an easy path, don't we? Though they're really the ones that are long-lasting and meaningful, aren't they? So as soon as you're playing with consciousness and energy, simply being masculine and feminine, consciousness, masculine, energy, feminine. Hope you're remembering those, masculine, feminine. As soon as you're playing with how much consciousness am I bleeping out here versus how much energy am I releasing here, you start to realize you can play with your own polarity. And when you play with your own polarity, simply for your own curiosity and sheer delight, you evoke the opposite polarity in front of you. So if I want to be full consciousness, and I'm like, boom, ba-dum, ba-dum, here, who's done, did it, here we go, okay, this is happening, Well, I want to talk to you very rationally, and the conversation is going to be beginning, end goal already in mind, and we've got the negotiation, which is very rational and non-emotional in the middle, and we get to the other side. Conscious. So I evoke energy in my partner. Or if I'm full energy and feeling, I evoke consciousness in my partner. So can you have a fully equitable relationship and experience attraction and desire? The answer is both. So I would rather live in the world of and, not either or. And the world of and looks like this. What would absolutely delight and thrill my heart at the deepest level is if we ordered Thai takeout, put the kids to bed, got a glass of wine, put our feet up with a hot water bottle and my fluffy jammies, and watched Ted Lasso for 3 hours and then go to sleep. I get to sit on the couch with my bestie because we'll be energetically neutral, coming together in neutrality. We're best friends. Wonderful. If that delights your heart, what a delight to experience. But if I'm sitting down, eating Thai food, or watching Ted Lasso, and feeling pretty shitty and ripped off that my partner's not wanting to tear my fluffy jammies and slippers off me and ravish me on the couch, then I'm going to need to change my polarity. Because I've set up the polarity for neutral best friends. If I want to be ravished, I need to be energetically in my feminine. And the moment I do that, and I can do it like that, it's because I'm well trained. Doesn't mean you can't one day. I don't have to do anything. I can just flip it in my body, and he's like, what is happening there? And we've trained each other as well. He can do it to me like an absolute mofo. He can flip on his masculine and I'm like, wouldn't matter how masculine I am. But that's because we've had incredible conversations and set up trainings on how to do that to each other. And so now we get to do it at will, right? Remember training to be the runner? It sucks hard while you're building your fitness. And then you get so fit, it becomes ridiculously fun. Do I want to have an intellectually stimulating debate about conscious parenting or politics with my partner? Yes, I do. Well, then I'm either going to be full consciousness and we are butting heads and having a really raucous debate, and maybe that lights my soul on fire and I'm like, yes, let's fight this out in a way. Fantastic. But don't then get shitty that you're not being seduced and swooned when you're in your masculine, if that's the energy you're choosing. If I want to have a completely equitable household where everything is split down the middle, all childcare, all responsibilities, all housework, all work and career, everything is totally equal, then we're probably going to be pretty energetically neutral humans having a pretty energetically neutral relationship, which can be delightful. Hi, beautiful Vanessa Kelly. If you want a colleague, a best friend, someone to stimulate your mind, someone who submits to you, fantastic. then just fucking enjoy it. Enjoy it like it's the most delicious treat you've ever had because you've chosen it and it gets to be that delicious. Because just know, if you want to change it, you can. You're not stuck. So you can have both. A stimulating intellectual equal. A best friend to watch Netflix with. A human you wrap yourselves in your snuggly jammies and you cuddle up together and talk about how freaking cute your kids are. Someone who runs Family Inc. with you like a co-educator. Amazing. But if you also want to just be fucked into oblivion and have those feelings rush through your body when your partner just looks at you, then you're gonna have to practice energy. If you want to be swooned and surrendered and taken and ravished and adored and utterly melted into a puddle of, I don't even know, golden nectar, then practice your feminine energy. And if you want your partner to be the puddle of golden liqueur, and you love nothing more than enjoying and taking and ravishing and leading and making your partner surrender and submit to you, then practice your masculine. It really is that simple. And the more you sit strongly in either pole, masculine or feminine, the bigger the arc of electricity, the bigger the spark, the bigger the force of attraction. That's how we end up with cliches. It's how we end up with the jock and the cheerleader, or the billionaire businessman and the model, because they've ended up in roles based on how much of that energy or consciousness they're eliciting, and those two are like sparks together, opposites. Okay, I'm catching up. I mean, rage fucking after a political debate can be hot as hell. Fuck me, Tara. I think it would be incredible with you. I think that would depend who you were having it with. You make scrunchies look at me. I tell you, mate, I am the biggest scrunchie fan. Even when scrunchies were not cool. And luckily they're cool again. But thanks. Fucked into oblivion. Yes, my friend. So down for this, nerds. Yeah. You too, Nicole. This is really lining up with the modes, the slippers, the ravishing, the debates, bear, sparkle, super. It's so cool when we can see synchronicity. Des and I love a debate. It's so great, isn't it? When you realise that you've got mastery to pull it, scrunchy life, scrunchies for life, I think. When you realise you've got the capacity to pull it back anytime you want to pull it back. So in this moment, in whatever moment it is where you're like, it's not exactly what I want. I'm still feeling a little like, then how do you become the energy of that which you want? Because law of attraction, what you put out is what you get back. I love your scrunchy conversations. Can you make them as rad as this one? This one actually is my favorite, and it was a handmade one by the women on Etsy that made my, the green dress I wore for the photo shoot for Queen School. So it's not one I can just pop to the shops and buy, but it's my absolute favorite. I left it at Bridget's the other day and I was like, Bridget, I've left my scrunchie at your house. And she was like, I'll put it away right now. Isn't it great when your friends just know? It's so good. All right, back on track. So what happens when I get a wine? I feel like I could just be hanging out with you girls. Would be so fun. All right, so your partner can feel, and I promise you, because they're like these big radar shield things, whether you are open and wanting him to enter you, being physically, metaphysically, emotionally, bodily, all of those things. Whether you're open and wanting and inviting him to enter, or whether you're closed up, closed down, and in CEO boss mode. He can tell. So you have to decide who you want. Remember this conversation? If you know you've been CEO boss mode all day, what are you going to do in this moment to create intense passion and attraction and polarity within you right now? How are you going to open yourself so that you become the invitation, not the push? So we'll talk more about this when we come to the one on you want sex and he's not into it. I think it's that one. We could have a bi-monthly no content, just check in with Wine in Honey Club. Could we? I would love to do that. That would be amazing. This is why I love co-creating Honey Club with you guys. I think that would be amazing. Oh, I love that. Hang out on Zoom. So, if you are closed and in CEO mind, what you need to be able to know is that if you want to meet your partner with a different energy, then you just need to create some sort of routine buffer, bit in the middle that goes from CEO mind and allows you a process to follow to flip into feminine inviting. Please come into me in all of the ways. Right. I need to hear that one. I try to be very clear and the invitation isn't seen. We can work on that one. Yeah, switching, you get to end up being really fluid with that, but you've just got to work out what it is that works for you and then get better at it. It gets faster the more you do it, like any muscle, right? So you got to let go of stress. You got to let go of the that's hyper masculine. Remember that, like, that tension and that bracing and that like little rectangle as you move through your day. You got to be able to let that go. So what is it that makes you relax? What is it that has you just bring your consciousness from here down into the body? Because that's what the feminine does. Remember we talked about this in the first one? The feminine being the wellspring, and it invigorates and revitalizes the masculine and the humanness within all of us. It's because it brings the consciousness down here. I mean, how many times can you walk through a day and not realize you have feet until someone touches them? Or someone says, just to breathe deeper right now. And you're like, oh God, I feel like I haven't breathed all day. Because when you're up here, you forget here. Consciousness is here, your consciousness isn't here. This is why you need daily moments of coming back and practices that let you do that, right? So how do you feel? Remember the guitar string from yesterday. How do you feel what's coming through your cells, through your body? And how do you let it saturate and amplify? That's the feminine. Feminine. How do you keep it connected, authentic, and continue the magnification? Because it's like a tunnel, right? You start and you go, I've never felt this much before. And you realize you can just keep going. It's like Pandora's box. So how do you flip yourself into that feminine and get so in touch with the energy that you're craving to experience, that his presence just goes, that. I want some of that. And I'm coming to that honeypot in all the ways. Catching up on your comments. What's your switching technique, Julie? What do you use or do? Well, don't forget, I'm very, very, very well practiced at it. So for me, being an energetic practitioner, and I want to preface this with, I recognize that this sits on a lifetime of practice. Don't forget, my father was a yogi, so I grew up with my DNA being saturated in energy work even before I was conscious of what that was. And I had an absolutely crazy mother who literally saturated my world in full color emotion. So we all come into this world with a pinpoint of consciousness that's like, here's your gifts. Now what are you going to do with them? This is mine. So I have pathways and tools and techniques that I use and I teach and I've learned to cultivate and amplify. But I want to preface that with, there is no pass or fail, and mine sits on a lifetime. By the age of 13, I could meditate with a room of transcendentalists and forget I even have a body, rise out of it. Like at 13. That's unusual. So my feminine practices are energetic. I can do that in my body because it's such a well-trained muscle. But when I'm struggling to be able to breathe and just do it internally as an energetic practice, I will do things like stroking. Come back down here. Midline of your body. I will remind myself to let my breasts come forwards rather than tucking them in. We have so much story about our breasts, don't we? But they're often the first part that enters the room before us, our heart space, our positive pole, the place where our stimulation of our energy exists and lives. So that's when I never skimp out on lingerie. I learned a long time ago that having sexy as fuck underwear changed my energy. So that is something I am never without. Because then I always feel prepared for passion. It's deeply important to me. I know that at any moment, my tits look fantastic. As does my ass. Just because I've invested in some fantastic underwear. So, what is it that makes you feel incredible? Like you've got this little secret? Because that's how I feel about the feminine too. I'm like, I am sitting on a gold mine in here. Like, you got no idea. As I walk around. That feels really powerful. Actually, that's another movie medicine for you. Have you watched episode 3? We were talking about in Queen School last round, I think it was. Episode 3 in Emily in Paris on Netflix. So episode 3 talks about the masculine... oh, my mind's gone completely blank. The male gaze. So the male gaze, we kind of did a whole lot in, it must have been Honey Club. We did a whole lot of work on what is the male gaze through art and through media and how women portrayed through the male gaze. And episode 3 in Emily in Paris talks about the very Parisian flip, which is funnily enough, very much quite similar to the tantric flip, or the masculine and feminine energies from which I'm teaching flip, on what it actually means to enjoy the feminine in all of her glory, rather than it being an objectification and a minimization. So maybe that's worth watching too. So, you know, in Queen's School, and Nicole, I know you're coming back in there, so, you know, we go through all of, we spend, this time I've slowed it down, so we've got like 3 weeks on Queen Week. It's not a week, 3 weeks. We go through all of the practices, and you're in Honey Club. Anything that we've done in Honey Club is a pathway to your feminine. The thing is, you've just got to collect your little bag of nuggets, knowing that one thing's never going to work all of the time, because the feminine is continuously changing. The feminine's continuously in flow. She will always evolve. She will always change. So therefore, nothing is set in concrete. My husband always laughed when I can remember actually for a really long time, when we were first starting to learn this out, he was like, fuck, I tried this thing on you yesterday and you loved it. And today you fucking hate it. Like, I can't keep up. It's like me with my coffee. I change it all the time. Like, I know. Isn't it great? So you've just got to be always willing to practice and to play, knowing that it will always evolve, because the more that you strengthen your feminine muscle, the more you'll realize how much deeper and more fulfilling and more vibrantly, how far you can go down that tunnel of feeling and sensation, and therefore the skill set you use changes. But you know, I always say go big before you go subtle, and there's a reason for that when you're retraining. We'll talk about that in training, actually. I don't know if I wrote that down in my notes. So you've got to go big before you go subtle. Yes, energy work, when you become a master, the pinnacle of potency exists in the nuance and in the subtlety, but not when you're learning. When you're learning, you've got to play bigger chords to work out how to move with it before it moves subtle. Because if you try and go subtle, you've missed the understanding that's required for subtlety, which is a very potent energetic resonance. You've got to build an ability to get there. But we can talk about that in Queen's School, no problems. Nicole, I guess mine is breathing into my bits, especially cervix, as you taught us. 100%. Yeah, 100%. It's just like that question, right? What can you do in this moment to create intense passion and desire? Flicking the switch when my masculine is wanting all the nothingness after a massive day is what I need to work on. Yeah, well, you're back in Queen's School too, so that's definitely 100% a conversation that we'll be having in there. But that's what this is. I can't tell you how many, sorry, I'm getting distracted because I'm getting all these messages. My kids and my husband are down in the pool in the hotel, and they're going, I've got a towel for you, we're down here. I'm like, stop messaging me. That's why I keep getting distracted, sorry about that. We will work on that. I can't tell you how many couples that I do sessions with that often one of the major turning points for them is that we really get super clear on what our coming home and integration of the two or of the couple is. Like that door greeting or that door first 5 to 10 minutes is really important. And regardless of whether you're a stay-at-home dad or a stay-at-home mum, or you've both been working, whatever, when you know the polarities that each of you are playing in and where you're wanting to flip to, then you understand exactly what you need to do individually and what you need to do to be able to flip the other person. Because that becomes the masterful moment. You do it for yourself, then you can do it to someone else. So that's the next level of mastery that you move to. Nicole, practice switching modes last night. It was amazing to watch and feel as I consciously flipped over and out. Over was amazing. Nicole Perry, that is outrageously amazing. I love that. That's what I love too. I'm like, it can stop being hard work. It can start being like, what happens when I do this? I remember this gorgeous woman in Queen's School last round who was practicing, actually maybe it was in Honey Club when we were doing devotion. Anyway, and we were doing this polarity practice, and she walked into a bakery and she's like, okay, there's 2 dudes in the bakery, I'm just going to try it. So she's standing there, she just tried her flip, and she all of a sudden they both looked at me and they couldn't stop fidgeting. She said, I felt so sorry for them, I had to switch it off again. Like, how fun is that? it gets to be fun. You get to watch the power you have to influence an entire room. And you get to practice with your kids and with your partner and literally in your home, walking down the street, saying hello to the bakery person. You get to practice all the time. It doesn't matter whether you have a long-term partner or not, or whether you're too pissed off at him to even bother trying to open or not. It doesn't matter. This is about you. It's not about them. But they get to be fun guinea pigs. Oh, Nicola, your voice is night nectar. Thank you. And it's so hard not to compare with your level of experience in this, because you make it look so easy, which is your genius, right? Full circle, 100%. Thank you. That's why I say that, because I know that that becomes a thing for women when they... And look, I'm also going to say, you know, in this world of mirrors, and I know that you know this, Ange, that you can't see in someone else what you're not already. It's not possible. You only see in another what is as yet unclaimed within you. So, whatever you think you see in me isn't me anyway. But what I would love for you to know is, yeah, I make it look easy because it's super fucking fun for me, because I'm super fucking fit at it. But I've spent a lifetime doing that. And just, you know that, just by being in my space and letting that be easeful and letting all of the cracks and the bits in between, I see so much purpose and love in that I don't want there to be a state of comparison, because it's only ever a state of, wow, holy fuck, that's possible. I didn't know that was possible until I saw it. And now I want some of that for myself. Yeah. The feminine is supposed to be the muse of inspiration, of pull forwards, of yearning, of creation. So when you feel that yearning, it's like, oh, I hear my heart calling for that. All right, how am I going to meet that heart's calling? It's not about me. But the reason that I said to you about my life story is because I do want everyone to wind back that sense of pass or fail, which is a very masculine version of looking at it, and instead look at this as a lifelong, and I still consider myself a lifelong journeyer, learner. I love learning. And even when I've learned as much, I'm like, ooh, more. So when you're learning, let that be a beautiful experience rather than I'm not enough. And when you see something in me or in whoever and you go, fuck, I can't do that, then you turn that into, remember, fascination instead of frustration. How does she do that? And then you ask me and we have that conversation. All right, no, that thing. How do you do that thing? And I promise you I can break it down. But I don't know necessarily what I'm doing, because when you get to a certain level of mastery, you know, it's like you forget the beginning steps sometimes until someone asks you a question and you're like, I can help you with that. So it's just practice. Oh, and just replying. Nicole, yes, love good underwear always. Luke's the same. Last night he was like, you loved your nipples being touched. Now today it's annoying you? Yeah. So good. And this year is my year of claiming and saying yes for me, what I want, because I'm worthy, because I'm me, looking forward to it, even the painfulness of it. Yeah, there's always an edge of ecstasy and pleasure, isn't there, in that? The feminine always wants more. Yes, she does. Curious to know what's the next level of learning about this stuff for you. For me, it's dance at the moment. I'm really wanting to I guess when I say next level, what I'm always looking for is, where do I stop? And when I see where I stop, then I look at that as a place to begin. So I'm always curious about the places that I pull myself back and go, that is a cage. So I'm going to toddle up to that edge and go, let's look at you. How did this jail cell begin? And what is in here? What's written on the walls? What needs healing? And who is a master at this that can help me move forwards so I can swing? Who can just open the door handle, put a foot in the door, so that I'm free to swing it wide open when I'm ready. And dancing for me is actually, I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's actually like a multi-layered, I'm realizing, experience for me. Just from too many years of feminine suppression and all sorts of teenage shit that I'm wading through. So what I really want to be able to do is exotically dance for my husband completely nude. So I'm building my mastery in that. That's what it looks like for me at the moment. But as soon as I've done that, it'll move to, I'll be going, I'm not very comfortable in comfort. When you grow up with a life with just a little bit of trauma and instability, I think you'll probably find the same. There's something about comfort that's uncomfortable because you're pretty sure something's going to happen. So there's that. But there's also the personal growth part of me that goes, okay, so I can either choose my challenge, because this universe is always an equal of support and challenge, or I can wait for the challenge to hit me and I'm less involved in the co-creation of that experience. So I can choose to meet my pain, in which case it's going to be in an area of life that's meaningful to me, that is inspirational to me, and that really accelerates my growth. Or I can do nothing, be quite passive in the process, and the world will smack me with it anyway. So I choose to look always for, whenever I get comfortable, I look for my next growth edge. Always have, always will, never stops. So, and that's because I find enormous freedom in that. And the more free I am, the more free I am, because we can be free and still live in a jail cell, right? And we'll keep putting ourselves back in the jail cell, which fascinates me. So I'm always doing that, looking for where I'm caging myself and looking for where I can fly free. It's really important to me. And it's really important I find those answers for me, just because I want to, and I want to for my kids. And yep, I'm like that with step parenting stuff. I can't remember the beginning until I really think about it. Yeah, exactly, because you will have built a level of mastery. Steph, you want that too? I want to be able to dance for my husband. Yeah, me too. Me too. So I'm really working on that, and have been this year. I thought I could get it done in 2020, but COVID was like a whole thing. And so some of my best laid plans just couldn't be. And then I found some others that were good, and I found a woman I fucking love. So I'm going to be doing Dasha Clark's hula. I actually think have you watched her? Oh my God. I tell her all the time, I could just watch you. The way you move is just extraordinary to me. And I want to be able to, I love looking at it. That's the voyeuristic masculine energy part of me, because I love to watch, but also I want to be that. So I want to learn from the masters. So I want to do classes this year with Dasha and some private tuition classes with another teacher I found for exotic dance. And I really want to bust my shit on that. So, and I would really like to dance on a podium. This is going way off topic. I never ever let myself dance on a podium when I was younger because I was too tall, too big, too much, already too seen. And I just wanted to be invisible when I was a teenager. Of course, I could never be. Too big and too bright. So, I am uncoiling my inner teenager in the view that one day I will, and I hope soon, I hope this year, 21, be able to do that incredibly succulently with my partner whenever I want to, and dance on a fucking podium and like love the shit out of it. That would be amazing. So, random goals. Steph, I feel so comfortable expressing myself in my own embodiment practices when it's for me. Yeah, me too. I'm exactly the same. Yeah. And actually I can do it in front of other women, but for some reason I go like all funky around him, so that's what I'm working on. Yes, I'm investing in more one-on-one hoop classes with Dasha too. Oh, so good. Lol, I can dance only if I'm blindfolded. Yes, right? That's me too. Me too, but I want to be able to like do the eyes and dance. And you're wanting to, oh no, yeah, I just read that one. Nick, better watch out when you open up to the dancing. Yes, Nickers, you better watch out. Tangents, love it. Thanks, Amelia. Somebody bring Julie Tanner a podium. When I'm ready to go, I'm not ready yet. Podium dancing. See, I have friends like you and who are like, oh no, I used to like kick girls off of the podium to get on. I was like, really? Oh my God. Steffi used to love dancing on a podium in clubs and at festivals when I was in my 20s. I used to be paid to do it. Oh, you see, I used to watch you as like one of those girls and be like, oh, yeah, I don't want to be like you. But something shifted and I put myself in a cage. You see, isn't that interesting? I find that fascinating. I would bleeping love to dance on the podium with you, girl. Me too, Charmaine. I'm in the car. I got this. So that's my goal. I would love to, by the end of this year, be able to do that. So how about we wrap this up and bring it back around to what we were actually talking about? See, this is what happens. We end up going off on tangents, but I hope they're always helpful. At least I hope the first 15 minutes of this live was topic related and helpful. All right, how are we going to wrap it up? Let me have a look at my notes. If your body cannot open, your heart cannot shine. It's like a light beam. When your body opens, this light like moves through your body. If you ever have watched a woman, I would even say to you, watch yourself. Take a photo of yourself before you start a practice and a photo of yourself after you've done a practice, and watch. Look at your skin. Look at your shine, right? Look at your gloss. Look at your muscles in your face and your skin. They will be youthful. Because, no, Georgia, I loved it. Because the feminine is literally the, what's the goblet that everyone goes chasing? Life elixir, anyway. So when you learn to really open your body and trust open, you find really trustable people in front of you who want to receive that. But when you only part deliver it, you end up with only part able to hold it people. So often as you're in this process of opening, either the person in front of you are in a committed relationship and you're in it for the long haul, you'll shift each other, which is the purpose of relationship, as like a self-building machine and mechanism, or you will attract new people. Like attracts like. That's how energy works. So let yourself breathe deeper, be in your body, breathe relaxation, breathe open, your own state, to let your heart shine, light come through and be seen on your smile, on your cheeks, in your eyes, in your movements. Just let it be open. Let it be an invitation of, I'm so willing to receive this human in front of me. There's no part of them that I'm self-protecting from or holding back from, or there's no part of me they can't handle. Under-surrendered women attract unpresent men. So if he's a little bit shallow and shitty in his presence, which he will be sometimes because we all do a bit of this, same as you do with surrendering to your heart. Sometimes deep surrender, sometimes not so much. Right? So as you do this, so does he do that. That's why we have to have a level of deep compassion with ourselves and with our partners, because we're human. And even someone who is as masterful at energy as me will still be like, I just don't want to do that right now. Because we're human. And we are complex and complicated. Bless our cotton socks. That is okay. As long as you're able to be deeply compassionate with yourself and with your partner. And if something is not as you fully wish it to be in this moment, that you know the power fully rests and resides with you, because you can have whatever you want right now. Love is not missing. It is not absent. It is not unavailable to you. Neither is his presence or her presence. It's here, now, if you want it. So, passion is a choice. It is not an accident. Polarity in chemistry is a choice. It is not an accident. I want a best friend. I want an intellectual equal. I want a partner in Family Inc. in all the ways. But I really want a lover. So I have to learn my masculine energy, my feminine energy, neutrality, and how to slide myself along it. That's it. You get to have it all, but you have to be willing to be it all. And the level of self-responsibility that comes with is often where people will stop. It's about them, right? It's not about you. So, beautiful women. I love that we're having podium conversations. Carly Marie, I bet you were a podium dancer. Alicia Bannister, are you a podium dancer too? No topics ever really off topic. Holy Grail, thank you, Nancy. I feel like you solved my questions yesterday too. Yes, I'd take you for a podium dancer as well, one day. Alicia, I've jumped on just as I see Jules needing a podium. The soul knows when it needs to be involved in a convo, doesn't it? One day I will be like ready to break out, but not yet. I like to be fully healed before I'm there. Haven't you, Nickers? You've never podium danced? I didn't know that about you. I always think about Brooke and I'm like, I need to be more like that. Yeah, I will if you will too. Post-COVID party maybe, when I've healed. And I'll go, okay, I'm ready for my challenge. All right, I will see you tomorrow for Love Bites. Remember, you can jump into Queen School. It's 1222 starting on January 14th for 3 months, 12 weeks that we spend together completely revolutionizing the way that you look at masculine, feminine, relationship interactions, learning the intricacies and the nuances of all things to do with relationship and how you can create, manifest, or become that which you are seeking. So that is what I fully intend for you in 12 weeks. We have some beautiful queen mentors coming in who are themselves experienced and experiencing, which is what a practitioner always is. In an alternative universe, I'm an exotic dancer. Funnily enough, I've always had this thing with the temple dancers, and when Kasha did my past lives, she was like, she was blushing when she was telling me. She was like, I watched you temple dance. And she could hardly get the words out, and I was like, that makes sense. Yeah, I feel that. So I've just got to come home, right? It's just like a coming home. That's why you got to kick out the shit that's in the way. For all of us, I think it's more a coming home than it is. I don't think you have to learn stuff. I think you just have to get rid of the stuff that says you don't know it. And that's a process. We're all doing it. So, big love to you from Melbourne City. I will see you tomorrow and every day. Yeah, Kash is so freaking cute. She was like, I was a man in the audience, and I think she was like getting all like, I imagine she was turned on, and she was like, I can't. And I'm just like, oh my God, I want to squish you right now. All right, I will see you. Have a beautiful, beautiful night. Remember, passion is a choice. It is not an accident, and you can choose it and have it anytime you want it. And the stronger you build that muscle, the easier, the more fun, and the more it grows, the more you appreciate it appreciates. Very close to the door of this round, Julie Tenner. Oh, Alicia, I would love to have you in Queen's School. I would love to. If you want to message me, just message me and we can talk about it. It's no problems. There is payment plans. I'm always willing to work with anyone who feels a calling. So I'm not saying necessarily you, Alicia, but please just message me. I'm more than happy to do that. 100%. So I'll see you tomorrow. I'm enjoying our chats, even though they're total tangents. All right. I'll see you.